that tells me that I need a bigger number than 300. So I'm gonna go to my window, and you said 700. Okay, there are lots of choices, guys. Lots of choices. So 700 works great, but you could have used 800, you could use 600. There are other things. There's that one you can play around with. Okay, but we got it. Okay, so now find your maximum point. So second calc maximum, left bound, right bound, and maximum. What'd you get this time? 2.94, comma, 420.11. What size notches or corners should be cut out of this paper to get the maximum volume? That's the answer to the last question. What size should the corners be? 2.94 inches.
Does it matter what the decimals are after the first like hundredth number? Because I got like 2.978 instead of like 2.94.
Okay.
But I still got 420.
Okay, we need to match exactly.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so I don't know, your calculator, you're doing something wrong because your calculator will not make a mistake. So are you doing second calc maximum?
Yeah, I went second count maximum and then I said left bound, right bound,
Mhm.
and then I went in the middle.
Okay, do it again. Because if you have the right equation put in, make sure you have the right equation put in too.
20 minus 2x, 60 minus 2x, x.
Yep.
Yeah.
Try it again, we shouldn't be off. Nope. That's a pretty significant difference too. So, yeah, if you put 2.97 there, you're gonna lose points. Okay, so do it again, and make sure you're typing everything in correctly. Make sure those bounds are set right, make sure you're in between the bounds when you, find your answer. Okay. So, we've been through every question on the exam. And this one twice, we've done this one twice. So think about that, look at this exam number 2 review. What do we need to practice again? Raise your hand. We have 20 more minutes. We're gonna use it productively. We're gonna practice and practice.
Number 13.
Okay? So, he's on review sheet number 2, the second packet, the one we haven't done yet. And problem 13 has a picture that looks like this. And the question says, on what intervals is this function decreasing? Well, what does decreasing mean? Did it come out that time? What does decreasing mean? Going down. And that's always left to right. So moving left to right, where is it going down? Well, it looks like it's going down right here. And it looks like it's going down right here. Would everybody agree with that? So once I have identified the parts of the graph that are doing what I wanted to do, and this is decreasing, then I just look at the points, these 2 points. What's the x value for this point? What's the x value for this point? -3. What's the x value for this point? there's your first answer. Or, okay, same thing over here. What's the x value for this one? And the x value for this one? Done. That's all there is to it. When you write your integrals, you look at the x values of the points. Okay? Sydney? Okay, so we're on the number 2 review sheet. And we are finding the y-intercept. Sydney, I don't care what kind of equation it is. If the directions say find the y-intercept, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? We talked about this yesterday, people.
X to the 0.
You let x equal 0. Okay, you're gonna miss like 6 questions if you don't remember that. Write it down, highlight it. To find a y-intercept, you let x be 0. Always and forever, since you were 4th grade. That's how you've been finding y-intercepts. Let x be 0. So I'm just gonna put a 0 here. And then figure out what I've got. So, what is 0.37 to the 0th power? 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. What's 4 times 1? What's 1 plus 4? And 80 divided by 5 is 16. So your y-intercept is 16. So you're letting the equation scare you? No, they're just numbers. Let x be 0, and then 1 step at a time, figure it out. That's how you find a y-intercept. So for the second half of that problem, how do I find a y-intercept for the second half of that? Same thing. I put in zeros for x. So 0 minus 1 squared is 1. That y-intercept is 3. Let x equal 0. Okay? All right, what else? All the things we've reviewed, what else can you think of? What are you going to be struggling with 24 hours from now? None. All right, number 9 is a composition of functions. What does this mean I'm supposed to do? This right here tells me what I'm supposed to do. I plug the second into the first. So the second function is x plus 5. So this is like saying find f of x plus 5. Which means plug x plus 5 in for all of the x's. So x plus 5 squared minus 2x plus 5 plus 3. So this literally means take whatever the second function is and plug it in for the x's in the first one. So that's what I did. So now what do I have to do?
Foil.
This is a FOIL. Please don't get lazy. That's a FOIL. So you're going to multiply it out, x plus 5 5, x plus 5. Tell me what you get when you FOIL this.
X squared plus 10x plus 25.
Plus what? Perfect. That's what you get when you FOIL this. I'm not gonna be foiling for you tomorrow. Ed Jimmy's not gonna be foiling. You need to FOIL. X plus 5 times x plus 5. This is what you end up with after you collect right terms. Then we still have the minus 2x, the minus 10, and the plus 3. See, this is another place where showing your work is gonna help, because I know some of you are gonna forget to make this negative 10, and that's gonna throw your answer off. Make sure you're showing your work. So my final answer, x squared plus 8x plus 28. No, 18, sorry about that. Is that better? Okay. Got it, Gabe? Alright. Anybody else, including Gabe, if he has another question, I don't care. Who has something else that we need to practice so that we know what we're doing 24 hours from now?
How do you know either to leave it or like subtract it?
Well, the problem said this, which means what happens when you plug G into F. Okay, this is what happens. It doesn't say solve, it doesn't say simplify, it doesn't say any of the things that would clue me in that I was supposed to do something to get x equals. Okay? That's gonna be multiple choice. So. One of the options for the multiple choice is none of these. Yeah, pretty much all of them. Yeah, so, yeah.
Can you tell us how much of the time that's gonna be a right answer?
It will be somewhere between 0 and like 25, I don't know. Now, okay, let's be serious now. There will be some none of these, okay? But am I gonna put together a test that has all none of these? No. I want you to pass, believe it or not, I really do. Okay, what else? 14. Find the x-intercepts. At what point does the curve just touch or bounce? We call that a tangent point. So x plus 1 squared, x minus 3. Let's just go ahead and sketch this, because there's another question that says sketch it. Same kind of equation, sketch it. So what do you do? How do you start sketching this? We're gonna have dots at -1 and 3. Those dots are the x-intercepts. So it says find the x-intercepts, right there they are. X-intercepts are points on the x-axis. They are what we have been calling dots on the number line. What does this tell me? Yeah, well, when the curve hits that point, it bounces off. It acts like a parabola, right? So when that's this point. So when I come up, I'm gonna bounce off there. There's my whole picture. So the second part of that question says, at what point does the curve just touch, or at what point is the curve tangent to the x-axis? That would be that point right there. And we know it because that's the one that is squared. If they were both squared, then there would be 2 tangent points. Right? Because every time you have a squared, you're gonna have a bounce. Those bounces are called points of tangency. Okay? I know there was one that said sketch. Yeah, number 18 is exactly the same kind of problem. Only this direction says sketch. So what are we gonna do first? How are we going to start sketching now?
Take it on that.
We take out an X, so in other words, we're factoring. So we're gonna take out the GCF,
Difference of square.
and now we have the difference of squares. And now it's factored, and I can draw a picture of it. What do I start with on my picture? The X-intercepts, the dots, and where are they? There are 3 of them. Every X gives me a dot. If there's no number hooked to it, the dot is at 0. And then I have a 3 and a negative 3. Right? Now, am I gonna do any bouncing in this equation? Nope, this is just a straight go through, go through, go through. All right, 21 is our property. Remember, there's one property question, so you can blow it off, or you can study your properties. Which property is number 21? Read the letters. On one side, it's U, V, W. On the other side, it's V, U, W. What happened? Didn't they switch? And when they switch, it is commutative. Period. I know there are parentheses in the problem, but the parentheses didn't change. The parentheses are around the U and V. The order of the U and V changed. That's commutative. That is commutative. 23A, list the possible rational roots. How do we find the PRRs, possible rational roots?
Factors of the last number.
Factors of 27 over factors of 3. So, to make our list, this is my list, everybody list. To make our list, we have to do every combination. So, 27 over 3, that would be 9. 27 over 1 would be 27, so I did the 27s. Now I'll do these. 9 over 3, 9 over 1. Oh, I already have 9 over 1, already have it. 3 over 3, 3 over 1, 1 over 3, and 1 over 1. Here's my list. That is my list. Every possible rational root. Now, B says find the solutions algebraically. Well, that means find the solutions the way we've been doing it. So what do we do? This is our list. What do we do now? You can do synthetic division. Now, I didn't talk about it yesterday, but it happened on yesterday's test, and it happened right here. These actually factor by grouping. Look at that problem. Doesn't it look like it factors by grouping? If you notice that, you can do that. If not, you'll pick a number. I think 1 works, so I'm gonna guess 1. You will have to guess. You might not get it the first time, and that is okay. So find the solutions. One of my answers is 1. What's the other answers? Or what are, I should say, the other answers? Well, what's left here? Plus 27. 3x squared plus 27. You gotta solve that. Can we do anything
Pardon
with
the
that?
interruption. As class ends in a few minutes, please have all students leave their bags and belongings in their alpha period prior to going down to adoration. Please have all students leave their bags and belongings in their alpha period prior to going down to adoration. Thank you.
All right, so I went ahead and solved this while they were talking. So I factored out a 3. Actually, I divided out the 3, got rid of the 3. 9 of x squared plus 9. That is not the difference of squares. It's not a difference. So I subtracted the 9 and took the square root. Now, when I took the square root, see how that was a negative? So that meant I had to have an I. And anytime I square root, it's plus or minus. So the other 2 answers are plus or minus 3i. Okay? A little imaginary stuff going on here. All right, so again, we have that extra time today, 1:30.